Alright, so Islam got the job done at 322 Madison Square Garden. So where do we go from here? But hey, it's your boy DHP, the realest and baddest MMA podcast in the world. And this is another installment of Weekend Recap because I got a couple things in mind that I want to talk about other than Islam and him winning the belt, what that means for welterweight. There is one particular topic, you know, I was going to speak on in a whole different video, but I'm going to put it towards the end of this video. And I want to know what y'all thoughts on it. Like, because I know this is a little bit controversial, especially if you into politics, which I was kind of hesitant to talk about because I know niggas get crazy when you start talking about politics. But it is relevant to the UFC because of this whole White House card. But I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the video. But we got some business to talk about, which probably majority of this video is going to be about Islam and Ilya and welterweight. So, Ilya beat JDM, right? So we got Ilya beat JDM. Michael Morales beat Sean Brady. Carlos Paredes beat Leon Edwards. And then we got Ian Gary and Belal this weekend. So we had 322, right? This weekend's card in Qatar, co-main event is Ian Gary and Belal. So we have to see who wins out of that fight. But Islam, where do we go from here at welterweight? Now, I've said it leading up. I had the feeling of like how I felt with International Fight Week. And even not just International Fight Week, but JDM and Belal, because during that time with JDM and Belal, it was supposed to be Shavkat, right? Shavkat was the nigga that we all looked at as it's over for the welterweights, right? It is completely over. Shavkat is hands down the best welterweight in the world, and he going against Belal, who I personally consider Belal pretty. He ain't bad, but he ain't elite. He's more like he's decent. Like he's decently average. So when Belal beat Leon, I always thought Leon, he wasn't going. Despite what I thought about Belal, Leon, or even JDM, I'm like, these niggas is not holding the belt for that long. Because once Shavkat is ready, it's over, right? So now, fast forward pretty much a whole. I still got to check when Shavkat beat Ian Gary. But it's been some months. We're going to say 8+ months. Just off the top of my head, 8+ months. Fast forward months later, Shavkat has been inactive for some time, for a while due to injury. In the mix of that, JDM's became champ, and then we had Islam vacate the belt, go up, and now Islam is the champ, right? So, as I said with, during International Fight Week about Topuria coming up to lightweight, and then JDM beating Belal, and JDM and Belal is specific about welterweight. Welterweight has completely changed again. Because now we either going to get the point of, and Dana alluded to this in the I didn't look at the whole post-fight press conference, but I seen clips and excerpts. Dana basically left the shit up to Islam's hands. Like, I don't think Dana, well, we can't even say about Dana because Dana just the CEO, he just the promoter type shit. It's kind of like Eddie Hearn and all these, and Oscar De La Hoya and all these other niggas. They just like they are CEOs, but they're also pretty much the promoters. They're not the main matchmakers, the fight bookies. I don't think it's in the hands of Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, Joe Silva, and these niggas. It's not in the hands of them. I believe, because anything that Dana say, these niggas they're gonna back him up. Cause sometimes it's almost like Dana is speaking on their behalf type shit. And they want to hear it from Dana because Dana is the promoter type shit. So it's looking like all of them is in agreement. They're going to leave it up to Islam. What do Islam want to do? So he alluded that in the press conference, basically, because they asked him about Ilya, and they haven't ruled it out, but he also said it's up to Islam. So if Islam went Ilya, then it's going to be Ilya in Islam. And I honestly, go back and check the tape. I alluded to this in a couple videos last week or this week leading up, because I'm like, okay, they haven't announced Ilya, between Ilya, whether it's going to be Justin and Ilya, or not Justin, or Patty and Ilya. Like, as soon as Armin Sayukin, I was like, okay, they booked Armin Sayukin and Dan Hooker. Charlie Olives and Max, my two niggas, they're going to fight for the BMF belt, so we can cancel that out. So it's going to be Patty or Justin, right? But the fact they haven't, it seemed like we haven't even come close to that decision. I'm like, okay. And then I was already thinking about it, but when the little, in not the mainstream MMA media picked it up, but there's a couple outside MMA medias that have some sources inside the industry. They put out a report saying that Ilya and the UFC, they're gonna potentially wait on Islam and JDM. So I already had that thought back in my mind, but then when that little report came out, not all of them, but some of them did, picked up and started reporting that, I was like, okay, so I wasn't crazy at all. Because I'm like, why the fuck is it not, you know? And then if you ask Ilya has been saying Patty's name for like a cool minute. I mean, he be back and forth on some bullshit trying to flex his power, but Ilya been said that he wanted to fight Patty. He wanted to defend the belt against Patty. So it's kind of like, and then the history there, so I'm like, you know, and I already spoke on Justin Gaethje's situation multiple times, so I'm not even going to reiterate that. Y'all just going to have to look at my past videos. But I'm like, why is they not booking Ilya and Patty? And then they keep bouncing back and forth between Justin and Patty. So I'm like, okay, there's something else going on here other than, you know, them two deciding or Ilya not wanting to fight these niggas. And I was like, you know what? I think they're going to do the same. They're going to do the same thing what they did with Islam vacating the belt and waiting for JDM and Belal. That's basically what that shit is going to be. So we got that right. And like I said, Dana, they alluded to, it's up to Islam. Now, y'all let me know in the comments what y'all want to see. Do y'all want to see Islam and Ilya Taporia go at it? Or do y'all want to see Islam? And he said in the press conference, he wants to defend the belt. Like, okay, so I'm like, and I did have this opinion that I'm like, I don't think welterweight is a permanent state. Even if he do win, he's still going to go back to lightweight. So he put that shit to rest at the press conference. That's one of the clips I did see. So I'm like, okay, I'll eat my words on that. Islam is staying at welterweight, and he did say he want to defend the belt. Many more. So where and y'all let me know what y'all want to see, but where do we go from here? Do Islam face Marty Usman, or did we go with Ilya Taporia? And then, you know, we let Michael Morales, Carlos Paredes, and I can't wait to do the rankings, the end of the month rankings for welterweight, because I know shit is going to change, especially if Ian, and I was going to get to it, if Ian Gary beats Belal, that's definitely going to change the rankings even more. So, should Islam fight Marty Usman? Should he fight Taporia? Because it seemed like, so Michael Morales is not getting the belt. He's not getting the next title shot. And Carlos Paredes is definitely not getting the title shot. And I explained that in the review. I feel like Carlos needs 2 more fights. And honestly, Carlos, he's good, but as always, what I've been saying with the fighting nerds, they have some shit they gotta work on to even be considered. Like, and I literally said on the review, all them niggas can be legit top 3, top 5 contenders in each of their respective weight classes, but the grappling and the wrestling, they gotta get that shit under control. Like Gene Silva, out of all of them, Gene Silva got the best jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but he still got the same problem the rest of these niggas. Carlos, back to Carlos, it's the same shit I've been saying over and over about the whole camp. They got to work on grappling and wrestling and they takedown defense. Because a nigga like Islam, never mind Islam, I think Bell would beat Carlos Paredes. If Carlos can't touch Bell's chin, Bell is definitely going to wrestle the fuck out of Carlos. And he already got, not only did he, he got out-wrestled by Ian Gary, as well as, got out-striked by Ian Gary. Well, I said that wrong. Even though he got out-struck by Ian Gary, he got out-wrestled by Ian Gary too. So, and that's just Ian Gary. Like, Ian Gary is kind of balanced all over. He's a more balanced fighter, but he's not the grappling specialist as somebody like a Bell or Islam. Bell, he is a grappling specialist, but we got to go in specifics with that, because then you talking about layers of grappling and specialists. He's just good at grappling. He is a specialist, and that's what he do best, but there's levels to it, and that's what I said on the review show Saturday evening. But and then you got Shavkat. Where do we enter? And then where do we enter Shavkat into the equation? Like, do Shavkat face one of these niggas, or should we give Shavkat, the title? Because the title shot, because Shavkat was supposed to be next. Like, JDM skipped ahead of Shavkat because of the injury. But then they were saying, Shavkat, he's definitely going to get the winner. Because rightfully so, Shavkat was next in line for the title shot. Whether it was Bell or Leon, right? But let's not forget, and the whole thing really started, to backpedal a little bit, the whole thing really started is because Bell got hurt. So Bell got hurt, that's when it became Shavkat and Ian Gary. And then Shavkat, as he, fought Ian Gary with the injury, and then that injury made it even, and the way he fought Ian Gary, the injury got worse after that fight. So then, Bell was back healthy, but Shavkat is out now. And then that's where we enter JDM. So really, in a way about things, Shavkat was legit next in line. But as we all know, with injuries in the sport, especially if you have a long layoff, when the weight class is very active and shit is just going and progressing, even though logically and rightfully you was next in line, and right or wrong, with injuries, you do get shuffled back. You get lost in the sauce. And Shavkat is in a position where rightfully and logically he's next in line. But, as I said in the comment section on one of the posts, Shavkat been out for some time, but it was due to injury, but he was out for some time. So it's kind of like now he's in a position where that rightful title shot that was owed to him, it's not guaranteed no more. Because during the time he was out, welterweight's been steadily active and progressing. And a lot of niggas been progressing upward and kind of shuffling him back. So do we give Shavkat the shot just because he's logically and rightfully next? Or do we say put him in the mix with Morales, Paredes, and then on top of that, to throw Bell and JDM, like, I said JDM, but Ian Gary, like, what do we do with that? Do we give Michael Morales or Carlos Paredes? Now, I see the thing where, Michael and Carlos book them together and then have Shavkat go for Islam or Islam go for Marty Usman. But me personally, if I had to book the shit, and I'm gonna keep Ilya out of this, I'm just talking about welterweight in specific. Shavkat, I would give Shavkat JDM, right? I would give Shavkat JDM because JDM really didn't suffer like too much damage in that fight. So I would give JDM and Shavkat, book that together. You let Islam fight Marty Usman for the title. Give Michael Morales the winner of Ian Gary and Belair, and then you let Carlos Paredes fight Joaquin Buckley. That's exactly how I would do it. Because Joaquin Buckley is still right in there too. Like, don't get it fucked up. He lost to Marty Usman, but he's still right in the mix, and that's off rankings. Like, ranking wise, I think Carlos and Joaquin Buckley is still right in there, like kind of next to each other. So that's how I would go. But Islam got options now, and they all and now you add Ilya back in it. Let's just say Islam do want to fight Ilya Topuria, right? And they finally make that matchup. Then you go Shavkat and Marty Usman. That's how I would go. So it's a lot. Welterweight, as I said, with JDM and Belair, and then, you know, Ilya and Charlie Olives. Welterweight will forever change after this. They will forever change, because now, especially with Carlos on a bigger picture scale, the new welterweights is here. The new welterweights is here. Because if you look at the welterweights of the past era, and you look at the niggas that, you know, who just fought, the past era is gone. Wonderboy, gone. Colby Covington, gone. Neil Magny, Jeff Neal. The only one that's really still in there is Marty Usman. And he's just the outlier because, honestly, if anything, it's really, you know, showing like how good Marty Usman actually is. Because everybody in his generation, in his era, is pretty much pushed out. Neil Magny, Jeff Neal, Vicente Luque. You can throw Vicente Luque in there because he was part of that. You know, Vicente had been in the UFC for a cool minute. So he was right in the mix of that T-Wood era start of Marty Usman title run. So he was right in there. So Vicente Luque, Neil Magny, Jeff Neal, Wonderboy, Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns. Like, these niggas is flushed out. They is flushed out. Some of them still being ranked, but they pretty much flushed out. And then you got what we saw last week, or last week with Gabriel Buffoon, or Bafim, however you pronounce his last name, with him beating Randy Brown. Gabriel is like the last half of the top 15, and he looks pretty good. So, and Randy Brown, Randy Brown's been solid, steady Eddie, but he's also been in the UFC for a cool minute as well. So, we gotta look at this as a whole. You know, welterweight is gonna completely change forever until that next generation, especially after this. But in all, that's how I would do it. You know, with Topuria, I would go Shavkat and Marty Usman as the main #1 title eliminator, and then without Topuria, I would go Islam and Marty Usman. That's how I would do it. And then Ian Gary and Belair, whoever wins out of that, they can fight. Tell you the truth, and even if Belair beats Ian Gary, I would say Belair fight Shavkat. That's how I would do it personally. But it's a lot of options we can go with. It's a lot of options we can go with. A lot of things at the play, and there's really a lot of politics. Speaking of politics, there's a lot of politics into it as well, as far as like fight politics. Because like I said earlier in the video, they pretty much leaving it in the hands of Islam. Like, Islam is going to dictate who he fighting next. It's almost like that Conor type effect. Like, Conor low-key dictated, you know, who the fuck he gonna fight next type shit. So, I mean, that's pretty much that. We gonna see it. And we gonna have another discussion about this for the flyweights, because we got some flyweight, we got hella flyweight fights coming up for the end of the year. December is pretty much flyweight city. So, as well as Marab fighting again, but the same conversation we have now for the welterweights, we're gonna have the same conversation for the flyweights next month. But that's pretty much all I have for Islam and, you know, in that whole situation. But second thing I want to talk about, Valentina, real quickly. Where would y'all put Valentina? I already have my answer. It's clear cut. Valentina is number 2 of all time. She's the second best women's fighter of all time. There's no other way to, you know, there's no other way to slice and dice it. But where would y'all put Valentina? And also, I seen today that Amanda Nunes, she spoke about something about Valentina. I think both Amanda and Kayla Harrison said something about Valentina. I didn't see what Kayla said, but her face and what some of the sources was reporting on, Kayla's face and like her pictures was like all over it, so she had to say something. But I did see Amanda say something, so we could definitely potentially get a trilogy fight with them two, potentially, just based off reasons that, you know, usually when somebody gets skunked in a rivalry, that's pretty much it. But it has to be something to where they ain't got no choice but to fight each other again. Like, pretty much Max and Volk. Like, Volk basically skunked Max. But the fights was close enough to where they had, if shit was not progressing like how it should be, which it really wasn't, because Volk was beating everybody, and then everybody else that Volk didn't beat, Max was beating them up. So basically nobody could even come in between Max and Volk. Kind of like how John and DC was, even though that was John, that was a different type of reason. Like, that was a different situation. But like how John and DC was pretty much, you can tell, like, based on how those two niggas was, they was the two to beat at like heavyweight. But my nigga Gus, he was that next guy in the group to where he actually got in between John and DC, and also John's legal troubles actually helped that cause as well. But Gus beating everybody else, it kind of forced their hand with that. But Max and Volk, there was nobody that was able to do that, so they had no choice but to go with, you know, the third fight between Max and Volk. And Volk pretty much handled his business like always. But it's kind of like that with Valentina and Amanda. It's like, you know, Amanda and Valentina is so damn good to where it's really nothing anybody can do to get in their way. If they was to fight again, there's nothing really can do. Now, Juliana Pena, for a split second, Juliana Pena did put out that roadblock, but we saw how quickly Amanda got that shit right back, you know. And Kayla Harrison also got the potential too. She definitely got the potential to put out not only just a roadblock, but a whole barricade, you know. But we'll see where it goes from here with Valentina. But I'm more interested now. Let me know where will y'all rank Valentina. Valentina, to me, second time all time. Now the question is, where do Weili Zhang, where does she go from here? Do she go back to strawweight and try to get that belt back? Because let's be honest, like, if Weili go back to strawweight, she getting that belt back. I so hard believe that she would get that belt back in an instant. So do she stay at strawweight and just get that belt back, and we just commend her for taking the challenge and trying to fight Valentina, or does she thug it out and stay at flyweight and and try to get a rematch and keep beating on these women, try to try to beat on these women in flyweight and try to get that rematch of Valentina? Like, where would she should go? You know what I mean? I personally, I would like for her to stay at flyweight and just try to get that rematch of Valentina, because either way she goes, she's gonna win. My personal opinion, I do believe she can make some noise and damage at flyweight and then get that rematch of Valentina. But that's just my personal opinion with that. Because if she go back to strawweight, she getting that belt back. I don't care what nobody says, she getting that belt back. But yeah, y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think of Valentina and the whole women's MMA. But last but not least, because I've seen Luke Thomas talk about it. I've seen Ariel Helwani talk about it. Dana White addressed some shit. Has the UFC gone too political with the actual real world politics? Y'all let me know. Now, I'm going to keep my personal feelings, because honestly, I try to stay out of politics just because I know where it leads to. And even if somebody is reasonable, like whether you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever, it's funny to make a lighthearted joke about it. It's kind of like when you and the niggas back in the day play Mario Kart, and there's like this meme going around that Mario Kart in friendships. It's kind of like that with politics. Like, I've been watching very closely to how people interact with politics, and just what every day problems and shit like that. And it's just, for some reason, niggas can't cooperate when you talk about serious shit like that. Like, it causes too many pointless arguments and debates for no reason. But I wanted to touch on real quick about what Luke Thomas said. And for my personal opinion, I do believe, and Dana he addressed it too, that he's saying he's not all that political and shit like that. I kind of call cap on that, but then I also believe him at the same time. Like, my personal opinion, my problems with Dana White is not even, him as a person. It's the shit that him and the UFC has done over the years, that it completely brainwashed some of the fans to think a certain way about the UFC as a whole versus, and it's funny because I'm gonna correlate all that shit together. I seen a post where, and I forgot what his name, but he commented on a post and he said the UFC is, as far as, now I agree with him on that, but as far as America, UFC is the best promotion it is as far as mixed martial arts, but niggas can't really tell the difference between the actual sport and the UFC. Like, casuals, mainstream influencers, they think UFC is a sport. The sport is mixed martial arts. The discipline is all in the name of mixed martial arts. The UFC is just the brand name of the sport. Like football. Like, football is a sport, but what do we say? NFL or NCAA football, college football. Basketball is a sport, but what we say? NBA or college hoops, So it's kind of like, it's gotten to the point where, and I don't want to lose track of the politics, but it's kind of gotten to a point where the new fans, I'm not even going to say casuals, I'm just saying new fans and major influencers, they're under this narrative to think that UFC is the sport, but it falls on Dana and some of the figureheads behind the scenes, because they don't do a good job of actually trying to separate the sport from the major brand. But back to Dana in the politics, UFC has gone a little like too political, because you show Donald Trump, right? You show Trump at all these shows and shit like that. You having meetings with Trump. Now you having the White House card and shit like that. And then you meeting with a lot of niggas that's in politics. Then you have, Trump's son, the Junior, I believe. I don't know how many sons Trump had, but I do know Junior. Junior is in, he has business relationships with some of the fighters. And majority of the fighters, I'm not going to say all, because the UFC as a whole is very diverse and very cultured. But I'm going to say at least 35 to 40% of the UFC are pretty much all, they all within one of that Republican Party. And you do have some figureheads in the actual Republican Party, whatever, that is involved with the UFC. So I really don't personally care who you represent. Like, if you're a Democrat, you're Democrat, Republican, whatever. I really don't care. I worry about, you as a person, like your character. Right? But the things I'm seeing that, the little things and the brainwashing tactics, all this other shit, it is gone too political, because I'm seeing a lot of figureheads revolved around it. Even like with like the White House card, like you have like the sons of Trump and other people that's involved politics. They trying to dictate on who's gonna be on the card and whatnot. I'm like, as a fan of the sport, or as a fan of the UFC, the brand of UFC, it's like when have celebrities or people outside of the sport dictate who's gonna be on the card or not? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know fans of the sport can sometimes dictate certain things about the UFC, but outside of like the matchmaking, like Sean Shelby, Joe Silva, and all these niggas, nobody has ever really influenced like who's gonna be, on the card, or you know what I mean? Which is why I made a video I made, like, when the White House card got announced, whatever, when Trump did his little public address or whatever, and he announced that the UFC is going to be at the White House, I was like, this is a bad idea. And really, it's not just because, we haven't gone to we haven't did UFC Africa or UFC Spain or all these other different types of cities and countries that would draw a major, especially with the stars and the superstars we have in this generation. We can draw a much more newer market going to that first. But anything dealing with Trump, it's going to turn political off the rip, because Trump, to me, I don't want to really talk politics like that, but I'm gonna have to address it. It seems like with Trump, no matter what you think of Trump is like the only nigga that can. He's like a WWE wrestler to me, like a true heel. Like, Trump to me is a true heel. Like, no matter what you think of him, some like him, some hate him. He's the only president that I've studied and looked at, and like, it don't matter what he do, he's gonna gain a huge reaction out of anything he do. And to me, UFC White House card and all this shit, it low key is it might do more harm than good. And I know everybody wants to fight in the White House card, because it is actually, it actually is, the White House. The one thing I will say about the White House card is that the scenery. Like, the scenery would be dope, but it's the other shit that's gonna come from it. That's like, bro, this ain't a good idea, you know. But I mean, for Dana to say he ain't all that political, I call cap, because there's certain things that he does. I'm like, come on, man. Like, I'm seeing this shit. And even, like, if you really want to get technical, like, he didn't really do this when Obama was in office, you know what I mean? Or when, and it is not even a black and white issue, but I think his personal relationship with Trump in general is low-key bad. Cause Dana, and it might just be, whole time now I think about it, it might just be not that Dana's too political, but maybe his personal business or his friendship with Trump. Because if you really look at it, if Dana's like really Republican, and that's why I say I can't even say it's a black and white issue, because he didn't do it with Obama. But how many of white presidents have we had that is Republican that we had in, you know, the UFC? There was no conversations about being at the White House, or Dana hasn't even, you know, haven't even brought them to the fights or none of that shit. So really, now I think about it, it might just be his personal relationship, you know, whether it's friendship or business or a combination of both. It might be just that with Trump. But at the end of the day, it's still all bad, because I just know how niggas get when you talk about politics. So, in a long way of saying, yes, the UFC has gone, I agree with Luke Thomas. UFC has gone way too political as far as like actual real politics. But I mean, it is what I feel like I can speak on it like every week or so, make some awareness videos about it to get it back to where it's supposed to be. But at the end of the day, half of these niggas, it don't even matter what you say. Half of these niggas, they don't want to hear it, bro. So I'ma just leave it at that. Y'all let me know what y'all think, bro. Let me know in the comments. Y'all like, share, and subscribe. Until my next video, which I'm still dealing with some personal shit that I'm taking care of behind the scenes. So I am dealing the best way I can. So that's why I'm still able to upload as much as I can. But I think after December, I know after Marab's card 323, my production definitely won't slow down until, you know, I get back, you know, right around like January. But for right now, I'm doing the best I can to take care of the situation, so I'm able to still upload regularly. But it may drop off some from, you know, here on out on to basically January. But regardless, I'm still gonna upload something for y'all niggas, so y'all just stay tuned for it. But until my next video, I'm gonna holler at y'all niggas later, man.